So what's up, boys and ghouls? Welcome back to the channel. I promised that I was going to do a ranking of the Art the Clown / Terrifier films in my review of Terrifier 3. Check out that video. And so what are we waiting for? Let's get into this video where I'm going to rank the films with my buddy Art right here. And this might ruffle a few feathers of some Terrifier purists. So what are we waiting for? Let's jump in head first into my ranking of the Art the Clown films. Let's go. So what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the JevMan316 Pop Culture Reporter channel. I'm your host, as always, JevMan316. That's me on the sign back there, JevMan316 Live. Come over usually Sunday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. We watch along the movie, talk about pop culture, talk about physical media. Recently, we watched the short film of Terrifier, and then we watched the feature film of Terrifier. So I promised like I said in the intro, in my last video, which was the Terrifier 3 non-spoiler review, that I was going to rank the films. And I say specifically Art the Clown films because there's 4 in the franchise. There's not just 3 films. There's 3 Terrifier films, but there's 4 Art the Clown films. And we'll get into that more. So how did I rank it? Well, this might ruffle a little feathers of some of the people. So hang on tight as we get into my ranking. So what is number 4? Number 4 is All Hallows Eve. You know, I'm surprised that there's people that don't know about this movie and that Art the Clown is featured throughout. I'm in a couple of Facebook groups about horror, one about Terrifier, and some people are just discovering this because of Terrifier 3. So yeah, it's basically a micro budget movie. I mean, pretty much nothing. I've heard the numbers range somewhere around 35 grand is what it costs to make it. So it's made up of a wraparound story like most anthologies that includes Art the Clown creatively, mostly at the end of the wraparound. It also includes The Ninth Circle, which was a short film that Damien Leone made that it features Art the Clown. And he's got a more supernatural element to him already in that. Then it's got a middle story that doesn't feature hardly anything about Art, just a little cameo shot. Don't like it. It's really cheaply made. It looks even worse than the other 2 films that he did. And then the end of it, the 3rd chapter, is the Terrifier film, the short film that basically started it all. I really like that one. I think it's well made as far as for the budget that it had, and it showed the creativity and the imagination that they could have with this character of Art the Clown. So then the wraparound, I really do love how it ends. It's got some very creative elements, especially like Art coming out into the real world. Yeah, so that's kind of cool, and it's a little creepy when you're watching it too. So that's number 4, All Hallows Eve. Not an official Terrifier entry, but it's got Art the Clown in it. So here's where I may lose some of you. 3. So my number 3 spot, number 3 is actually going to go to number 2. Terrifier 2 is in my number 3 spot. Yeah, I know. Don't panic. Don't panic. Don't panic. Whatever. So let me go over some of the reasons why I pick Terrifier 2 to go in the number 3 spot. All right, come on now. Let me get into it before you guys go into panic mode. The movie is extremely bloated. Everybody knows that. It's over 2.5 hours. I find that way too long. There's a lot of points in it that when I rewatch it that I could just skip over totally. I know it's got a lot of exposition. It's building the foundation for the future. But a lot of movies were like that. I mean, for the original Friday the 13th is a little boring compared to a lot of the rest of them. It's good. It's a really good movie. I love all these movies. I mean, I like Art more as the sadistic killer, serial killer type. The cool combination of like Freddy and Michael Myers in a clown costume. So it's a little bit of Pennywise obviously mixed in there. His antics. You get a lot of that in Terrifier 2, but you also get a lot of the supernatural elements. You also get the pale girl, which I didn't particularly like. I like how they changed that later on in the series, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. Obviously, it's got the one scene in the bedroom. I'm just going to tell you, I like that scene, but it goes on too long. It gets to the point where it's not scary anymore. It's silly. It's borderline silly. And so I know if you're not a horror fan and not a gore hound, you might get shocked by that scene. And I did kind of the first time I saw it, but it just went on and on and on. And I think it loses a little bit of its steam for how long it goes on. It's almost, like I said, it's almost like silly and ridiculous. But Lauren Lavera is awesome, but to me, I think she's going to be better in future entries. So there's really good, and there's really bad, but I think it's more if I'm focusing on Art the Clown, I like him better in some of the other entries. So that's number 3. So what am I putting as my number 2? So my number 2 is going to go, I still got it in a little frame from my other video, is going to go to number 1, Terrifier, the first one. And why would I pick that to be my number 2 entry? Well, I love everything about Terrifier. You got to remember, it's really, really low budget. I think Damien Leone said they had enough money where he himself and then the producer didn't take any money as far as payment for doing the film. He was paying all the actors, I think, $100 a day plus catering, and that's all they got. So if you look at those type of films and those micro budgets, and you look at with the creativity, the imagination, the passion that they put into it, and I think Terrifier has art at almost his sadistic best. He's probably human in Terrifier. I know a lot of people argue about that. I like that aspect. He's basically a serial killer who goes after these 2 young girls. And then obviously you get the character of Victoria, who's moved on into the other film. So I just really like the character of Art being the serial killer clown at his sadistic best, alone, with no pale girl, with no Victoria, none of that stuff. It's just him. And I really do think it's more like a grindhouse feel to it. It's more like centered, I don't know what you want to call it, grounded. It's a short, like 100 hour and 20 some minutes, and you get everything that you like about a Terrifier movie in a really tight package. So obviously the number 1 entry right for me right now is this guy here in the Santa Claus hat. Yeah, my number 1 entry out of the 4 going into this ranking is Terrifier 3. And it's probably, if you go back and watch my review, I'm not going to get into everything, but I put a lot of it in that. I like the aesthetic. I like it looks more like an 80s film. It feels like one. I like the music. I think Art's in it a lot by himself. And when he's not with the pale girl. He's with Victoria for obvious reasons. If you haven't seen it, I'm not going to get into spoilers. You get a realistic Lauren Lavera playing Sienna, who's got emotional trauma for what happened. You got her advancing her story. You set up what's going to be, maybe not the exact final battle, but what's going to be in probably part 4 or 5 with Sienna versus Art the Clown. I think you get Art the Clown at his best. He's sadistic one minute, he's doing the comedy the next. He's got some surprises in there. You don't know what he's going to do. Like I said, this film feels like an 80s slasher horror movie. It's around 2 hours. This one is a little bit bloated, but not as much as the other. You get the great kills in it, just like you do in number 2. But like I said, you get a lot of that cut out to the point where it's a little more tight package. And that's what I just enjoy most about it. And so I really do obviously like the way it ended, because even though it's a cliffhanger, you kind of see exactly where it's going. And then I also like how it's got cameos, it's got ties into the other films. Even there's stuff about All Hallows Eve in there, if you caught that at the end. And if you didn't, you need to go back and rewatch Terrifier 3 again, because there's a lot of cool little tidbits in there like that. So that's my ranking. I go All Hallows Eve, Terrifier 2, Terrifier, and Terrifier 3. So what is your ranking? Put it in the comments down below. Do you think I'm crazy for the way I ranked them? And if so, put that in the comments down below. But either way, while you're down there, like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the normal YouTube stuff. Hit the like button on all my videos. If you're a subscriber, I appreciate you, but you also need to hit the notification bell so you'll know when I post new videos. Come over and do the watch alongs with us. Hit me up on my socials in the description down below and support me any way you can. So until next time, boys and girls, and we'll talk about art or Terrifier or anything else pop culture related. This is JevMan316, your pop culture reporter, signing out saying, you guys be safe out there.